Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Relax and release. Thank you all. I was so excited. I was like, oh great, I get to be in my little happy place with the nature in the background. I'm at my coffee shop place that's amazing, but I'm not in this room. For some reason, the internet out there is not the same as the internet here, which I'm happy that there's other internet. So, thank you for being on the ride with me. As we join in here together, I'm excited to be here with you. Thank you for your understanding. I was wanting to have a nicer background, and it's okay because we're not here for the background, but it's also nice. So, welcome, Jessica, Monica, Angela, Sharon, Dee, Mark, who else has checked in? I saw Britt. Yeah. Great. Tawana. Yes, J.E. So that was part of my... I thought the internet's so good here. I can double live stream. I can live stream on YouTube at the same time, but I probably could do that again now, but I'm not messing with it. So J.E., this will be uploaded as a normal recorded video as I normally do. So, yeah, and thank you and apologies and appreciation that I did not have my live stream yesterday or whatever, wherever you are in the world, on Conversations with God. I appreciate y'all's patience and bearing with me there. And we will be going live for Saturday Night Live as usual this weekend. So please, oh, and that's right, it's very early morning, okay, for me. So it's a little bit earlier than usual. It's going to be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So join for that. There will be the replay on my channel, YouTube. So follow me here, follow me there. Facebook, Instagram. If you're joining from Facebook or Instagram now, welcome, welcome. Glad to be here with everybody today. Yes. So, is there anybody brand new to me here right now? I know so many wonderful community members that are already connected. So today we are going to be doing a special live stream. This is all just unfolded and happened spontaneously or synchronistically, not so synchronistically. So, and I've done live streams on this topic before, and it is a topic that I've done life coaching on. It's near and dear to my heart, and it's also kind of, I've had other things that have come into my, forefront of my awareness, and now this is coming back to the forefront of my awareness because of my own journey. So I'm excited to dive into this topic of living a sugar-free lifestyle, living the sweet life, being sugar-free. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And this is coming on the, it's coming from that I am now this month 4 years sugar-free. And I just wrote a post about it. I've been reflecting on it. I know many of you have read my post either on Facebook, Instagram, my blog on my website, however you have seen that. Thank you, Angela, Monica. So yeah, this is like where this is coming from. And if you did read my post, you saw that, I shared some things that I have gotten slippery and even fell down the hill a bit, not in eating sugar per se, but in other areas of eating. Some of the same behaviors came back in. I allowed them back in. They crept back in, and then they took over. So what we're going to talk about today is, looking at you, if you're here hearing this, if you can resonate with the idea of having a problem or an issue with emotional eating, food, sugar, carbs, binging, things like that, compulsive overeating, if that's been anywhere in your life, or maybe even in people and you want to understand them better if it's not you specifically. We're going to, talk about that. So this will be, and I know a number of you, like I said, many of you were very connected in various ways over the years already. And I know some of you have dipped your toe into the sugar-free lifestyle, or some of you have jumped in and are on your own path and journey and have put some time together with not eating sugar. And so, this can be a place of real pain and suffering. And I can relate to that, and I'm here to say I can relate. I've been there. Send me a message if you want to read my post about it, and I'll talk more as well. But the point is like, I have been there, I have done that. I now have 4 years. I have had no cake, no ice cream, no candy, no sweets, no binging on sugar, no cookies in 4 years. Like, I can't even believe it. So if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. Hello, you. I like your name. So you has said they wake up every day, they need to do better, and then they do it again. So I would love to share what I've written about that, because I wrote about that exact same thing, and that's part of my story and my journey. And also I can share about that as well. And so a little bit over 4 years ago, I was in that place where it's like every day I'm waking up and I'm saying, today is the day, no more sugar today, I'm stopping today. And then later on in the day, I lose it. I forget, I talk myself out of it, the cravings become too strong. And then by the evening, I'm doing the exact same thing again. So for me, that is what I call sugar addiction for myself. I can't diagnose anybody. I mean, I can't diagnose anything anyway, because I'm not a professional in that sense. But I come from a background of AA. I've been clean and sober 25 years. And, in there we say, like, nobody can diagnose anybody. We can only diagnose ourselves. So this is the same thing. And so, I shared the part about my story so that if somebody can identify, then that could mean that you might have a problem or an issue or an addiction, if you will. And then if that is the case, then what can you do to recover? How did I do it? How can I help you? Or what are some steps that you can take? So, I think the most painful part for me was living in what I call this like never-ending day one, like a Groundhog Day. Has anybody not seen the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and Andy McDowell. But, basically this guy is stuck in waking up, experiencing the same day over and over. And that's how it was for me around this issue of being addicted to sugar, which started decades ago, really. And it's been up and down. I've had periods of abstinence from sugar, and then I would, again, believe the lie, oh, I can have it just this one time. If you're not addicted, you're likely not going to be able to relate to everything I'm saying. Then that's okay. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. But if you can relate and resonate with what I'm saying, then my message is for you. So some of you might be like, well, I wasn't that bad, or maybe it's not sugar for you, maybe it's some other form of carbs. And that's okay too. We all have our drug of choice, if you will. And that's part of my story. So in the post that I just wrote, my 4 years sugar-free post, that's what I talked about. The fact that, yes, I have not had sugar in those drug forms for 4 years. And also, I made mistakes in allowing certain carbs back in that I thought I could handle or I justified away, like just this once. And just this once eventually turned into, basically, I was pigging out on other forms of junk food that weren't sugar in the same way as sugar, and I was trapped again in, oh my God, I've got to quit tomorrow. Oh my God, I wake up. Why did I do that? I'm full of regret. I'm full of guilt. I'm full of shame, remorse. Saying today, I've got to stop today. I can't keep doing this. And then doing it again that night. So for me, everything I'm describing is the hallmarks of addiction. And coming from, a background, as I said, 25 years clean and sober, off alcohol and drugs, I know what it's like to be a full-blown alcoholic, a full-blown drug addict. I was gifted with the grace of recovery and the willingness and the desperation to get clean and sober at 22 years old. And also, it didn't stop there. It's morphed and changed and come up in these other ways that for me, they haven't been as destructive yet as alcohol and drugs. I would have died long ago from those addictions. But the sugar and the food, everybody knows somebody that's died from some sort of food-related, diet-related issue, which, culturally and societally, we have normalized and, kind of made it okay because it's so common. But really, if we look at type 2 diabetes, that is purely, I would say 95% of the time, due to, eating habits that are like addictions. So it's been normalized, it's an epidemic. And it doesn't have to be that way. So this addiction, if you will, has life-threatening consequences. Yeah, we can replace sugar with, sugar is a drug. So, my journey has been one of going back and forth, up and down, all around. Although I've been alcohol and drug free for 25 years, I have not been sugar free. I have not been addiction free. And that's okay. We all have our own journey. So, when I was at my worst with the sugar, I would say just leading up to the time 4 years ago when I stopped, hopefully for the last time. Also maybe 15 years ago, I was so bad with the sugar that I even called or looked at going into an inpatient treatment facility. I did not feel I could quit the sugar addiction. It was so bad. I was at my heaviest weight. I was hypoglycemic. I had the obsession about sugar, it was crippling. It became like a crack cocaine for me, to where I was hiding it from my husband. I was married at the time. There was always this, yes, I was out in my day. I was living my life. I was working my job. I was functioning. But there was this big energy part of my mind that was almost subconsciously or in the background, constantly thinking about it, preoccupied, obsessed with when am I going to have it again, or if I had some sugar drugs, around me, maybe in the fridge or maybe in my bag or whatever, I was thinking about it. So I couldn't ever be fully present. And then too, I was hiding it from my husband because we both, acknowledged that we had issues with this. And so it was one of those things where it's we're both quit, we're both stopped. Because what would happen is, and can any of y'all relate to just the emotions, putting so much sugar in the body to where it's these super high highs and then these crashes and the irritability, the almost anger and rage, this emotional unmanageability that would happen. I couldn't manage my emotions because of this drug, either being high on it or being in a hangover from it, or being in the obsession about it. So when I was married, we both agreed, for both of us, it wasn't good for our relationship because of the irritability. And so then it was okay, I'm quitting. And then I would relapse secretly and not tell him. And then I was hiding it. And then my weight was going up. I was in despair. And this is where I was, then I was hypoglycemic, which meant if I didn't eat every few hours, I started getting dizzy and shaky because I had messed up my insulin response in my pancreas from so much sugar. So, and this was in my mid-30s, and I'm now 48 years old. I don't have hypoglycemia. It wasn't an age thing. It wasn't part of the aging process. It was purely as a result of my diet. I fully reversed that hypoglycemia, which is a step on the way to prediabetes and diabetes. So, can anybody relate to anything I'm saying? And it might not, for some of you, you might be oh my God, not about that, but about this. It might even be a substance, a mood or mind altering substance. Or it might be pasta, not ice cream. But it all turns into the same thing in the body. How many of y'all have experienced cravings, like sugar cravings or bread cravings, chocolate cravings, pasta cravings? You know, what happens is, so it's easy for us to think about like sugar, right? Especially processed, like white Dixie crystals, if you're an American. Isn't Dixie crystals sugar? It's not salt, is it? I come from the South, so if you think about that, so let's like imagine there's a pile of sugar crystals on a table. Next to that we have a pile of cocaine powder. Next to that we have a pile of whatever, heroin, other form of like a powdery drug, or methamphetamine. And by the way, I've done all of those except heroin. So I'm not talking about anything I haven't actually done. But if we think about these refined products, where did they come from? You know, heroin, if we take it all the way back, it comes from a poppy seed. If we take cocaine back to the source, it comes from a coca leaf. If we take sugar back, it comes from a sugarcane plant. If you eat, like, I guess if you eat enough poppy seeds, you might get some sort of a buzz. If you, of course, chew the coca leaf, you're going to feel something. If you try and, you know, gnaw on some sugar cane, sure, you'll get a little something. But it's that process of refining these things to this pure form that, yes, okay, they can be dangerous in their natural form, but whenever, you know, it 100x's the effects when it's refined. And if we think about sugar in that form, I mean, it's, you know, corn syrup, you know, sugar, white sugar. When we have it in that form, it hits the body in this way that if you're eating, like I said, gnawing on a sugarcane plant, it's not going to do the same thing. So it hits the receptors in the body and the brain just like, you know, in their own way, these other drugs. Yeah, so if you have stress in your life, there's you know, everybody has stress, and there's ways that we deal with it and cope with it. And I get it, like I've been there before too, like, I feel this stress in the body, this tension, this contraction. I feel I need relief. If I've already have a history of this, it's easy. I can just eat a pint of ice cream or eat a bowl of pasta, whatever. It gives me there's some relaxation response. Just like people that, you know, to have a drink of alcohol, hit a joint, or, you know, whatever your drug of choice is. But the thing is, it has the consequences behind it of, you know, overindulgence. And then it's like, the next morning I wake up, I have a hangover. You know, for me, like I said, the hypoglycemia was happening. Gallbladder issues were also part of my consequences. Thank God it didn't get to the point where that needed, the gallbladder needed to come out. But there's gallstones. In the 6 months after I quit sugar, because I was having health stuff and I was having ultrasounds and I had a few CT scans for like unrelated things, but gallstones came up on these scans and they had measured them just like just because they were there. I had a scan while I was still in active sugar addiction. I had a gallstone that was 0.9 centimeters, almost 1 centimeter, which is, it's not small. Six months later, like I said, I just had a scan for something else, and they saw the gallstone again. It had reduced in size 50%. It had gone from 0.9 to 0.45. Just from me stopping sugar and stopping the carbs and stopping the overeating. So it didn't take very long. And we all have our own stuff, right? And we're all also on a continuum. If somebody's morbidly obese, they're going to have, they've progressed where it might take longer, they might have different symptoms. But I guarantee you, wherever you are on that scale, if you can identify and relate to what I'm saying, you're going to have benefits. It's only going to help you. And I'm not making any sort of medical claims, like this is just common sense. And it also depends, how, and my addiction had progressed, but also not to that point. Like, I don't know if managed or controlled is the right word, because you can't do that with addiction in the long run, but, I had lost weight, like after me being married and thinking about treatment and being at the heaviest weight I'd ever been. I changed my lifestyle. I moved overseas. I still had the addiction. Things were different, but, I wasn't pigging out as bad as I did before. I think because I was happier in my life too. But then it never fully went away. I kept going back to it. And then, like I said, over 4 years ago, it was just like, it was, because the hallmark of addiction is it progresses. Addiction is progressive. So if this is an addiction for you, it's going to get worse, I can guarantee you that. It's never going to get better. Like in AA, we say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever. There can be no reservation that someday I'll be able to control and manage my drinking or my eating, my addictive eating patterns. So this is what happened to me. By the end, it wasn't just sugar. I was mixing it with carbs. I was mixing it with snacky things. And yeah, the cravings were awful. Like, the cravings were just as bad or maybe worse than whenever I quit alcohol and I was a full-blown alcoholic. EV, difficult to sleep without carbs. So the thing is, because, and if you can identify with what I'm saying, and it's an addiction, there's an actual physical addiction happening in the body, that there will need to be a detox period to let the body come back into some sort of balance. And that can, the length of that can depend on how far along somebody is in their addiction. So if there's anybody that's like, I've worked with clients who have had night eating. They'd wake up in the middle of the night and eat, or, they do it before bed and they fall asleep that way. It's going to take time. Even with alcohol addiction, so many people, that's like they've quit alcohol for 3 days. Why can't I sleep? It's like, well, if you were an alcoholic and drinking, I know my sleep was messed up for a month when I quit drinking. So with the sugar or the carbs, it's going to take time. It's not overnight. The actual physical withdrawal period for sugar, it's really not super long, but it takes time for the body to right itself. So if you're identifying with what I'm saying, how many years, how long have you had this issue, and then how long have you tried to stop? You've got to give it time. It's unreasonable to expect that overnight or in 1 week or in a few days that it's just suddenly going to change. So the thing about all this is you have to be ready. You have to have had enough. And that's the tragedy of addiction in any form. Is that sometimes people, and often people die before they're ready to stop. Now, with sugar and food addiction, usually there's a long, this is a long, slow, painful journey, and it's not like, all of a sudden, you wake up morbidly obese, diabetes, neuropathy, whatever else. Like it doesn't happen overnight. So that's the good news, right? But also, it does end with premature death. If it goes without treatment, if you don't give it up. So, my question to you, if you're relating to this conversation and you feel the pain of it, how much longer do you want to go on like this? Are you ready? And if not now, when? If not now, when? How much, if nothing changes from now, how much longer are you willing to experience the past? And this is a question only you can answer within yourself for yourself. I know for me, when I quit the sugar, when I quit alcohol and drugs, it was like, I'm just done. Like, I cannot go on like this. And that's what we call hitting bottom. And it's not about like making yourself right, bad, good or bad. Like if you're just not ready. If you're not ready, you're not ready, and it is what it is. And then the question becomes, okay, if I'm not ready, then I'm going to do my best to have compassion for myself right now. Have compassion for myself as I would see that, oh, I'm going to the store again, and I'm buying the sugar again, and I'm eating it again, and I'm waking up feeling the remorse. How can I bring myself some loving compassion? Because I'm not ready. And what I did in those spaces, I started praying to Source. So you can call that whatever you choose, whatever that idea is for you. I started praying because what I saw was I had lost willingness. In the morning, I would wake up desperate. Oh my God, I cannot do this again tonight. Last night was horrible. Today is day one. I can't do this anymore. And I really believed it. How many of you can relate to that? I really believed it when I told myself, it's got to be today. And then later on in the day, the cravings would start. I would start to feel just this physical craving in this emotional dis-ease. And then I would notice, I would take back my will, as it were. That promise I had made to myself in the morning, where it was like, I'm done. Okay, God, higher power, universe, take it. I just can't do this. There would be a subtle moment where I would take that back. It was almost subconscious. In the moment I would give in to the addiction mentally and emotionally, I would feel relief. Because I knew, even though I wasn't putting sugar in my mouth at that moment, I knew that I was going to get it later, and that even made me feel better in that moment. And even though I hadn't yet put the sugar in my mouth, I knew I was going to later, and I felt relief, along with guilt and shame, but above that was relief. And I would go and do it again, feel the high, hating myself as I feel it, going to sleep, all fucked up in my body, wake up the next morning, oh God, today's got to be the day. And the cycle would be again. So I started praying for willingness, because that's what was missing in that moment, that subtle moment where I decided to eat the sugar again. I was taking back my will, as it were. I lost my willingness that I had that morning. So I started praying for willingness, and one day I woke up willing. That's all I can say. So you can relate. Yeah. So you've tried so many things. So yeah, I think coming out of denial is a big step. oh, I can have just one. Oh, it's just going to be this one night or this one time. Or I can have this but not that. And that's what I did too. Like I said, I've been sugar-free the 4 years, but I haven't, like I slipped around the carbs and some of the other junk food. And I got back in the same terrible cycle, day ones again. I lied to myself that I could that it was okay, that it was safe to have this one time. And eventually that one time, months later, even years later, ended up, there I was back again, just as bad as I was before. So really, like, I could put alcohol or drugs in place for myself with that. I mean, you can put behaviors, substitute behaviors for this too. It might be an X. I've been there. But we're talking about sugar and, you know, overeating and carbs right now. So, you know, this conversation is a wake-up call if it's for you, and you'll know this is for you. And it's like, okay, wake up, stop lying to yourself, and also have loving compassion for yourself. And then look at, okay, if this is me, how much longer do I want to go on like this? Am I ready? And if you're not ready, like, you are where you are. I'm not here trying to convince anybody to be ready if you're not. And the sad thing is, and I've done it, I have done it, years of being in that space. But if you are ready, then it becomes, okay, what's going to be different this time? And what am I going to do differently? What have you tried already that hasn't worked? So this is where we get into solutions. There's many, many, many solutions. Maybe you've tried some of them. Maybe it's a new combination, or maybe you thought you were ready, but you really didn't have that willingness 100% to really give it up no matter what. Because it's going to take the same level of like desperation, commitment, and willingness as like a heroin addict getting off heroin, somebody, you know, getting off coke or crack or meth or alcohol. It's going to take that same level of I'm going to do whatever it takes, because it is a drug that's just as addictive. You know, when I got clean and sober, I was willing to do anything. I was so done. I was in so much pain. I changed everything. This is going to require you to change everything and do things you don't want to do. So there's many help groups, there's many support groups, there's all kinds of wonderful solutions. I also am offering my own solution as a person who has overcome this. It is still on my own journey. Where I've created a sugar addiction recovery coaching program for one-on-one, high-level coaching, where you would get the support every step of the way to come out of it. So I've only got 3 spots open for this. If you feel it might be for you, reach out. We can see if we'd be a good fit. But I don't work with just everybody, anybody. And I'm not the only way. So what's most important is, if this is you, if I'm speaking to you right now, that you take action and trust that this message has come at the perfect time. That you're not alone. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's going to be really difficult. And it's going to be worth it. It's going to be so worth it. I mean, what would it be like to not have to wake up with that horrible hangover feeling and shame and guilt and remorse and self-hatred, self-loathing, and I'm not going to do it today, and day is day 1, and then the cravings coming, and then knowing you're going to give in again, and then that night or whenever going to buy the stuff and just hating yourself as you're buying it or receiving it, and then eating it, and then feeling the high, and then feeling the crash, and then feeling your body. And I remember laying in my bed, like, just my heart was racing out of my chest because the sugar was just, I was like high on a drug. So you don't ever have to feel this way again. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And also, it's worth it, and you can do it if you choose to. So don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer. Give a donation if this was helpful. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and send me a message if you're ready. And even if it's just helpful to be like, hey, I'm ready, and this is what I'm going to do, and it might be doing XYZ. I'm going to go back to the meetings. I'm going to do this or that. Or it might be, if you feel the heart's call, to see what it would look like to work together. Then you can also reach out about that. Hi, Patriot Lady. Thank you for the donation. So, trust this divine timing in this message. You know, everything has come together for you to be hearing this right now, or if you're hearing the replay on YouTube. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you never have to feel this way again. I've got my post, my 4-year sugar-free post. I can share that with you. I can share a couple other posts that I've written. That can be helpful. Thank you, Tawana, for the donation. Yes, I am you. So you can find me, Natalie Speakman, or you can find me on Insight Timer, my profile. There's a link, so yeah. This is a part, you know, of what I help people with that's now, because of my own journey, it's like I have been given this gift, I have created this, and I'm here to help others with this. And I also help others in other ways as well. So it's all here. We're multidimensional beings. And I'm so glad I just get to be of service in this way. I'm so lucky and blessed. Yeah, I would never imagine my life like this. So thank you, Angela. I love you. I love all of you. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you this weekend for Saturday Night Live, and we're going to do cards, Reiki, ancestral clearing, which, by the way, in my sugar addiction coaching program, we bring all that stuff in too. Don't worry. You know, it's about body, mind, spirit. It's about 3 dimensions and multi-dimensions. It's about what to do today and healing the inner child. Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much. So, much love from Bali. Also, by the way, I'm working hard on finalizing details for Bali Bliss Retreat in August 2025 with fellow Insight Timer teacher Alicia Bliss. So if you're interested in coming to Bali in 2025, reach out, send me a message. And we can also incorporate, if you are, on the sugar recovery path, that's not like the main topic of the retreat, but it definitely can be a part of it if that's you. I'm just looking at venues, and one of the venues it's like vegetarian meals. But they have one, it's like with dessert or without dessert. And I was like, well, this is interesting. It's like, of course, without dessert. Like, even if people don't have a problem with sugar, we can be without dessert. We can still have fruit. So if you want more information on the Bali Bliss Retreat, send me a private message as well. Hi, Jamie, Nicole Williams. 88 meditators. Awesome, awesome. So I will see you all soon. Much love. Namaste.